Since taking office this week, President Donald Trump has empowered ICE and Border Patrol to go after undocumented immigrants. Of course, that is already having an impact on the agricultural industry, which relies a lot on undocumented labor. Earlier this week in Bakersfield, California, for example, the number of field workers that showed up to work to pick the produce, that's in their stores that people buy and eat, the number of people showing up to work dropped by 75%. Now, this is after ICE agents in unmarked Chevy Suburbans were seen rounding up and detaining immigrants in the area, which, of course, left acres of unpicked oranges sitting in the California sun at the height of the picking season. Undocumented workers have also been targeted walking in and out of gas stations, getting breakfast at Home Depot, while driving around along the 99 highway, and pretty much everywhere. One of Trump's executive orders basically said you can go and you can target them anywhere. You can get them in church. You can get them everywhere. Now, of course, that's a bit of a problem. All right. Now, a lot of these immigrants now, instead of going to work, they're like, well, if they can just nab me anywhere, then I'm just going to stay home. I mean, what's the point of even going to work? They'll nab me at work, and you know what? If they nab me at home, at least I'm sitting home and not working my ass off in the sun. Okay? And now on Tuesday, the Department of Homeland Security announced that it would roll back an Obama-era directive, suddenly allowing the immigration agency to detain people, as I mentioned before, in sensitive areas such as hospitals, places of worship, courtrooms, funerals, and weddings. No place is safe. No place is safe. All right? I don't blame them at all for staying home then. Because, yeah, it is safer. And again, why would you want to go to work if they're just going to grab you at work or grab you at home? Now, that said, if you like vegetables, if you eat, which a lot of us do, if you like orange juice, well, guess what's going to happen when you don't have the workers out there to actually pick the vegetables and fruits? They're going to get more expensive. Oops. Now, wait a minute. It's just one county, right? Bakersfield only makes up a small portion of California's Central Valley. The county in which it resides, however, Kern County, produces approximately a quarter of the nation's food and is ranked within the top 3 agricultural counties in the nation for the last several years. Oops. Undocumented laborers are estimated to comprise more than half of the county's workforce, according to Cal Matters. So, you thought that the labor shortage, right, around COVID was bad. Just wait. But, yeah, that's okay. I'm sure all the MAGA guys who voted for this, they're very eager to go into the fields themselves and replace them. Right? I mean, after all, you're like, oh, man, we got to get those undocumented immigrants out of there. They're stealing our jobs. They're taking our germs. All right, well, go ahead and take those jobs then. Oh, you don't want to. Right. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Now, Casey Creamer, president of the industry group California Citrus Mutual, told Cal Matters that people not showing up for work obviously is having a huge impact. Quote, we're in the middle of our citrus harvesting. This sent shockwaves through the entire community. People aren't going to work and kids aren't going to school. Yesterday, about 25% of the workforce. Today, 75% didn't show up. Richard S. Gearhart, an associate professor of economics at Cal State Bakersfield, said, losing the bulk of America's agricultural workforce overnight is a recipe for absolute economic devastation. Yeah, so that's not good. Now, he also said you were talking about a recession-level event if this is the new long-term norm. And so, hey, economic devastation, that does not sound good. That sounds bad. That sounds really bad. But there you go. If you voted for this, well, then the eventual spike in grocery prices and perhaps even the resulting recession, if that happens, that's on you. And before you say, well, you know what, these immigrants, they should have came in here the right way. Well, the problem is our immigration system is broken for a reason. And it takes many, many years, a very, very long time, and loads of paperwork and money to come in the right way. Okay? And look, while they're doing that, pretty sure we're not going to see a glut of workers coming down and willing to work these fields in the meantime. And even if they do go through all of that to come here, it's very unlikely that they do it just to do these jobs, which are really, really hard. And it's not just farm work, by the way. It's meatpacking plants, it's construction, it's, all the difficult jobs that basically Americans don't want to do because of how difficult they are. And so they're pretty miserable, all right? Even when offered decent pay, there are very few people, understandably, that want to spend all day in 100+ degree weather doing very demanding physical labor, such as this farm work. I mean, so much of our work depends on this undocumented labor. In fact, and by the way, Trump supporters, you all know this, right? The farmers, for example. Here's one Trump supporting farmer explaining what could happen to his farm and others if Trump actually does what he says he's going to do.
This farmer who voted for her, who voted for Trump, who still supports them, doesn't believe that they would round up immigrants and ask them for their immigration status, because it's an open secret that farms in this state are held up by undocumented workers. Are you worried, like some of your other farmers, that if there were a mass roundup of undocumented migrants, that you might lose workers? You might not have enough workers.
Well, the question I asked, how are they going to do that? Within 2 days, we will not have food. There will not be food anywhere.
2 days?
Yes. That's why I predict nobody will be filling the shelves, nobody will be producing food. If we once have to shut down and be gone, it's never coming back.
Does Governor Noem understand that?
I would think so.
Do they understand that? Oh, I would think so. I mean, she just says all this stuff, and Donald Trump, he was just talking. Really? All the executive orders that he just signed, including the one that gets rid of birthright citizenship, which is, of course, being challenged because it's in the Constitution, but is that just talk? No, it's not talk. He's literally doing the things that he said he was going to do. And it's going to be a disaster. The result of this, a lot of farmers are going to be hurting because ain't nobody going to come work the farms, which means the food is going to go up, the prices. I thought you elected Trump because, the food prices, it's going to go down because Joe Biden's made all the food go up. Okay. And Trump's going to make the food go down. The egg prices go down. Well, what's going on with egg prices? Oh, they're up. Now, it turns out the president doesn't control those things. Right now, we have bird flu epidemic. And guess what? Trump just signed documentation to told these agencies, you need to hide information on bird flu so that people can't read about it. People don't know about it. As if that's going to make it go away. No, it's going to end up leading to tainted eggs, tainted chicken, and people are going to get sick. People are going to die. That's going to be the result. And all while, of course, they pay more for the pleasure of doing so. Look, it's important to note, by the way, that none of the executive orders that Trump had signed had anything to do with trying to lower the prices of anything, right? Whether it be eggs, housing, or healthcare. Okay. But, thank goodness he got rid of that DEI. Oh, yes, because we know the diversity, that was the real problem. Well, remember all this when you get your grocery bill. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump announced that he has revoked a 6-decade-old executive order designed to combat workplace discrimination among federal contractors. So this only affects federal contractors, but still, it's going to have a spillover effect on the private market as well. Now, the rule, which was put in place by LBJ during the Civil Rights era, it's, pretty much right after the Civil Rights Act was passed, okay? And it forbade federal contractors from discriminating on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity. So, yeah, this was a really, really big executive order. And even through Republican presidents since LBJ, nobody touched it until Donald Trump. In his war against DEI, it's a war against the wokeness. Got to fight the woke. The wokers. Yeah, okay. By getting rid of literal anti-discrimination laws. Great. Now, this also explicitly required employers who accept federal contract money take affirmative action not to discriminate against job applicants or workers. Oh, so yeah, that's what it is. Affirmative action. Got to get rid of it. Got to get rid of it. Now, Trump put out a statement explaining that this was radical DEI preferencing and therefore had to be removed. We got to get rid of the DEI. We got to get rid of the wokeness. Got to just get it right out of the government because you know why? It's reverse racism. Sure. Okay. I know that's what some people believe, but that's not the reality. Now, the regulations Trump revoked included placement goals or targets for employers to meet in the hiring of underrepresented groups. Now, when you're hiring someone from one of those underrepresented groups, you don't just hire any random person, right? Like, hey, black person off the street, I got a quota, I got to hire you. No, you look from a pool of applicants that have equal qualifications, okay? And so it's one of those things where it's like, well, we've got a bunch of really, talented, qualified people, but, and there's a black guy. Well, he's part of an underrepresented group, and so, hey, his qualifications are just as good as everybody else, so yeah, let's bring him onto the team for some representation. That's what it's about. But anyway, Trump said that the Labor Department would be forbidden from pushing contractors to balance their workforce based on race, sex, gender identity, sexual preference, or religion, and called his order rolling back the 60-year protections as, quote, the most important federal civil rights measure in decades. So rolling back civil rights somehow is actually helping civil rights. How exactly does that work? Basically, you're just giving federal contractors carte blanche to say, you know what? I'm just not going to hire any trans people at all because I don't agree with them. I'd hire gay people. Oh, I don't believe in that. Well, that's exactly what they want to do. Okay, and so calling that though, civil rights. That's opposite world. Okay, obviously, advocacy groups, Democrats were quick to criticize the move. Senator Patty Murray, for example, of Washington, said Trump's order would gut core civil rights protections as well as the Labor Department office that enforces them, which is, kind of the whole point. Judy Conte, government affairs director at the National Employment Law Project, said that Trump had stripped away a key tool in combating against discrimination. Quote, this is not a return to so-called meritocracy. And as I mentioned, you're hiring from a pool of qualified applicants. It's just some of those applicants happen to be gay or trans or black or, Asian or whatever, or Latino. They're all still qualified. They have all the same qualifications. All that law says is, well, you can't just weed out the black people because you don't like black people. You have to give them consideration as well. Okay. So yeah, it is not a return to the meritocracy. She said in a statement, rather, it's an attempt to return to the days when people of color, women, and other marginalized people lacked the tools to ensure that they were evaluated on their merits Yeah. Look, again, back when this was signed, you got to remember too, people were not hired based on their merits. Okay. If you were a minority, your merits did not matter at all. You would not, very likely, you would not get the job. Instead, it would go to a lesser qualified, in some cases, white person. Okay. And so that's what they would do. Oh, I'm not even looking at your merits. You're black. I don't like that. So I'm just going to hire this white guy. Now, I'm not saying that that happens now, at least not as much. Okay. And racism now isn't as bad as it was back then, but it still exists. And so this law, I mean, why touch it? Why get rid of it? So this is going to have an impact. Again, this is not just federal employment. Yes, that's what this order mainly impacts, but all this kind of rolls downhill. Okay. The private sector is also going to be impacted by this as well, because Trump is looking into finding ways to try to get rid of it when it comes to private employers. And so, yeah, not just going to affect the government workers. But of course, before he goes after it in the private sector, he's got to scrub the government of all anti-discrimination measures as much as he can. And so that's what he's doing. Now, this is one of the methods that he's using. Another is literally telling federal employees, hey, you should snitch on your coworkers. If you think that someone else that you're working with is doing DEI. That's right. In a series of foreign letters sent to government departments on Wednesday, President Trump's acting agency chiefs had threatened, quote, adverse consequences for anyone still doing any work related to DEI initiatives. The snitch letters sent to employees of the Departments of Homeland Security and Veterans Affairs, NASA, and other agencies told employees that they have 10 days to report anyone who continues to do DEI work. Quote, we are aware of efforts by some in government to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language, the letters to DHS and VA staffers say. These programs divided Americans by race, wasted taxpayer dollars, and resulted in shameful discrimination. Now, of course, a lot of government workers that have gotten these letters are like, they're not happy about this. They're pretty pissed, actually. And they have been leaking to Ken Klippenstein, okay, over in his Substack, telling him that, you know, we're pissed off about this. And that's, oh boy. But yeah, here we go. We got people being told to snitch on each other for daring to do diversity. Which, you know, look, it makes workplaces better when you have a more diverse workforces. Okay, there's more innovation. It reaches new customers when you're working in the private sector. It makes these companies more profitable. You get different points of views. Getting rid of diversity will not only hurt these government contractors, but will hurt private businesses in the long run. I'm not saying that DEI and things like that is absolutely perfect in every scenario, but the goal here is a good goal to get more people included. Unfortunately, we've seen so many of these companies, since Trump's win, pull back on their diversity initiatives. Because apparently, for them, fighting the woke is much more important than running a good business and appealing to as many customers as possible. Conservative cancel culture has taken its first confirmed victim of the year, at least to my knowledge. A local news meteorologist was fired for criticizing Elon Musk's Nazi salute. So this was an Instagram story posted to X by a conservative radio host, Dan O'Donnell, who is basically being a snitch, okay? And going, I found somebody criticizing Elon Musk for doing a Nazi salute. So now he found this Instagram post by Sam Cuffle, who had captioned an image of Elon Musk doing the Nazi salute, saying, quote, "Dude, Nazi saluted twice during the inauguration. You F with this and this man, I don't F with you. Full stop." All right. Well, again, that's her personal Instagram. Okay. Now, in a second story, she posted a GIF from a scene in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where one of the characters says, "Screw that old B, he's a Nazi." There you go. But apparently, Dan O'Donnell didn't like that and wanted to go complete and utter snitch. Gonna go tattle to get her fired. And it worked. In fact, O'Donnell went to X and wrote, "Exclusive. CBS 5/8 meteorologist Sam Cuffle makes a pair of vulgar Instagram posts." Isn't it funny that the Instagram post is more vulgar than doing the Nazi salute in this case? Wow. Oh, but he said, "Wow, spread the lie that Elon Musk was giving a Nazi salute." Oh, so wait, he didn't actually give the Nazi salute. That was just a smear, right? Right. Yeah, just a smear, right? No, look, funny enough, Elon defenders have been posting still images of Democrats that were in mid-wave, okay, and saying, "Oh, see, they're doing Nazi salutes too." Why don't you ever play the videos? Yeah. Good question, right? That said, in a staff memo obtained by the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, on Wednesday, news director Jesse Garcia wrote that meteorologist Sam Cuffle is no longer employed at CBS 5/8. A search for a replacement is underway. Cuffle's profile has been removed from the news station's website, according to her LinkedIn. Cuffle worked at CBS 58 since December of 2019. And as of Thursday, her Instagram was made private. And so, look, you got all these weirdo right-wing tattletales now that are going to people's personal pages and basically tattling you out. I mean, and there's another case of a transgender woman changing, her, I believe it was her ID, her license, and posting it. And so these weirdo right-wingers, they tattled on her, and in the state of Florida, came down on her. I believe it was the state of Florida. It was one of those anti-trans states. So yeah, they're just out there. They're seeking you out, and they're doing the cancel culture on you. I mean, if this is not cancel culture, I don't know what is. I mean, look, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, and basically helped buy the election. Okay, $250 million. All right. He's incredibly powerful. And if you decide to criticize him for doing the most obvious Nazi salute, you're going to get fired now. How is this not cancel culture? Now, supporters of Cuffle, of course, were very quick to respond to this on social media. One user wrote on X, quote, "Shame on CBS 5/8 for firing Sam Cuffle for naming Elon Musk's Nazi salute. Shame on Dan O'Donnell for mobilizing trolls to harass her and call her for her job. This dark chapter of our country's history will eventually be over, and we'll all remember who showed integrity and who didn't." Another said, "Seriously, how could a news organization fire someone for describing literally what this Nazi was doing on her own personal social media page? It's one thing if she did it on the air, but it was for her social media. We are in deep trouble, folks." Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's the cancel culture. It's GOP cancel culture. Coming for you. Coming for meteorologists. And of course, they don't like meteorologists, too, because they're reporting on weather and saying things about climate change. We can't do that. Oh, can't
let that happen.
Can't talk about that. That's another one of the canceled topics now. Can't talk about that. Can't talk about bird flu. If you're part of the government, at least. So now they're hiding all the information on that. And so, I mean, we're in 1984 now. Okay. I mean, you want to talk about censorship? Here it is. You want to talk about cancel culture? Here it is. It's real and it's happening right now. Now, what's more telling, though, getting back to her, is, who actually liked Musk's little symbol, right? One commenter, Evan Kilgore, wrote, "Did Elon Musk just Heil Hitler at the Trump inauguration rally? We are so back. We? What, Nazis?" There's also a chapter of the white nationalist organization White Lives Matter, who responded, posting this to Telegram: "Thanks for sometimes hearing us, Elon. The white flame will rise again." Yeah. So there it is. Very clear what's going on. This is why you've got conservative cancel culture warriors out there trying to gaslight people into not believing our lying eyes about what happened. And while getting people who correctly call this out for what it is fired from their jobs. Oh, but yeah, you don't understand. The Anti-Defamation League came out and defended him and said, oh, it's just an awkward movement. Right, sure. Oh, but you don't understand. Benjamin Netanyahu came out and defended him. Elon Musk is being falsely smeared. Elon is a great friend of Israel. He visited Israel after the October 7th massacre, in which Hamas terrorists committed the worst atrocity against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. You realize there's a lot of people out there on the right wing who practice Holocaust denial. He has since repeatedly and forcefully supported Israel's right to defend itself against genocidal terrorists and regimes who seek to annihilate the one and only Jewish state. I thank him for this. Yeah, it is that support for Netanyahu basically doing whatever he wants militarily to Palestinians. That is why he is now on the side of, Elon Musk. It's his support. And Trump's support of allowing Israel to do whatever they want. And by the way, the same support he got from Joe Biden, who once again allowed Israel to do whatever the hell they want with no consequences at all, with U.S. money. Oh, but it's even worse now because Trump was like, oh, those 2,000-pound bombs that you were dropping on people that Biden said, oh, you probably shouldn't do that. Well, you can go ahead and do those bombs again. Yeah, no, go ahead. Drop as many as you want. On hospitals, on communities, children, doesn't matter. Just go ahead and drop them. Go ahead and drop them bombs. So, yeah, that's why the ADL and that's why Netanyahu are out there saying, oh, that very obvious Nazi salute was not a Nazi salute at all. You guys are just crazy. But if you dare wear a keffiyeh and say Free Palestine, then you are immediately an anti-Semite and probably also terrorist. Got it. Yeah. So everything these people say about the other side, I'm talking about the right wing here, whether it be the Israeli right wing or the American right wing, is and always has been complete projection.
FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. And FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems.
President Donald Trump suggested on Wednesday that, we should probably get rid of federal disaster relief and let the states take care of it themselves. I mean, it's not like we're a real country anymore with a functional federal government, and not with me in charge. This is during a discussion on Wednesday with Fox News host Sean Hannity. News. Forgot that part. They spoke about, the issues with FEMA that Donald Trump had made up during the election. Okay. For example, he lied about the agency blowing its budget on helping undocumented immigrants. Or the $750 that you were allegedly supposed to pay back, but No, you actually don't pay that back. Okay. The reason, and also one of the reasons that the budget was so low for FEMA, why they were at the time running out of money, is because, for one, the number of natural disasters that had occurred used up a lot of that budget. They were actually using it to help people, right? Secondly, when they start running out of money, it is up to Congress to approve more. And Republicans, they have not been wanting to approve more money. Instead, they wanted to use disaster relief as a way to try to get to punished blue states like California or Illinois or New York City, whatever. Any state that has like any sort of decent humane policies towards immigrants, like sanctuary cities, for example, they're like, no, we're going to withhold disaster relief from them. Ah, great, lovely. Look, we've seen it for years. That Republicans would vote against disaster relief. I mean, you'd think it'd be something that would be, bipartisan, right? That people, of course we're going to help you. We're a country. We're a nation. Of course we help each other. That's the whole point. But no, Republicans are like, no. You need disaster relief, New York City? No, not going to happen. Nope. But when it was their own states, these same Republicans turn around and basically beg the federal government to help them as they're supposed to. You don't see Democrats pulling those tricks. No, they actually have humanity. And they're like, of course we're going to help your constituents. No, we wouldn't think of holding up disaster relief for a red state. That would be horrible. But they constantly, the right wing talks about, we got to withhold disaster relief from California. Their welfare. They don't deserve it. Why should Ohio have to pay for what's going on in California? Because we're a frickin' country. That's why. But unfortunately, holding up aid to these blue states is exactly what now Trump is talking about.
I don't think we should give California anything until they let water flow down into their...
From the north to the south.
This is a political thing. I don't know what it is. They talk about the Delta smelt. It's a little tiny fish like this.
I went out...
They say it's an endangered species. Well, how is it endangered? No wonder it's endangered. It's not getting any water. How do you... If you have a fish and you're stopping the water, isn't that going to hurt the fish?
I did a show.
What are you talking about? Nobody's stopping the water, okay? For one, Los Angeles does not rely on water from Northern California. There's not some weird, spigot up there that Newsom is, still not, choosing not to open, okay, to let the water flow down. No, that's not what's going on. And look, when it comes to the fires, the water reserves were topped up. The problem is you had super dry conditions with 100-mile-an-hour winds. It's really hard to fight a fire in that condition, okay? And speaking of fires, by the way, in California, there's yet another massive wildfire threatening homes in Los Angeles County. That's the Hughes Fire, broke out on Wednesday morning specifically, and had quickly grown into more than 9,000 acres. About 50,000 people were under evacuation orders, warnings due to that fire. So yeah, they're going to need disaster aid, and apparently Trump is like, no, but he's saying all you need to do, Governor Newsom, is just go open that secret faucet you've got hidden in Northern California. Just open it right up. But wait, that's not real. What is real though, is the danger of getting rid of federal emergency aid. These states are not equipped to handle billions of dollars in damages. That's why we have a country, a federal government, do you think Alabama has billions of dollars lying around for when they get hit with a hurricane next? No, they don't. And as far as what FEMA does, they cover about 75% of debris removal costs. They also award and reimburse millions to billions of dollars to people, in when it comes to assistance, that if he gets rid of FEMA, it's going to be gone. And by the way, it's going to primarily affect the South that gets hit with hurricanes. Then, of course, you have, the middle of the country, Tornado Alley. That's going to be more, affected as well. California, obviously, with the wildfires. But again, it's more than that. There are natural disasters all over the country. Okay. This would affect so many Americans. Not having a federal government there to respond to disasters would be a disaster in itself. If he kills FEMA, I predict that it would take only one major disaster where the state does not have any money. And of course, it would be in the South, right? Because if it happens in California, then most of the country's not going to care. But if it happens to Florida, or if it happens to Louisiana, it's going to take that happening for Americans to realize, oh no, we just screwed up royally. But for now, they're cheering this on. In fact, in response to Trump's comments over on Twitter, Christina Brode writes, "Yes, and let the American people help Americans. Get the feds out of the way and defund and abolish FEMA." Wait, what do you think? What do you think FEMA is? It's the government. It's Americans helping Americans. What? Another says this is based every state that runs deficits and then asks the federal government for bailouts further complicates the inflation issue. States should have their own emergency funds for emergency relief. It's not fair for taxpayers in Ohio to have to pay to rebuild LA. More likely it's taxpayers in New York and California that are rebuilding Florida, that are rebuilding Louisiana, that are rebuilding Alabama, the states that constantly get hit with hurricanes. More tax money comes from California into the federal government than from those other states. There's a lot of these red states. So, I mean, who are you going to end up hurting the most? You're going to hurt yourselves. So, nonetheless, I mean, I'm very concerned that this is the direction that Trump is going to go into, getting rid of federal emergency response. And if he does, things are going to get real bad real quick. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.